Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated, where this is a big show for me. I'm speaking with iconic actress Loni Anderson. So, welcome, Loni.
Thank you very much for having me. It's just wonderful to be here, listening to you.
Oh, well, yeah. So, off camera, you were commenting on my
That
accent.
you have a fabulous accent. I
Thank
just
you
love
so much. I'm not sure that too many people would agree, but I will take
it.
it.
It's adorable. Okay.
Oh, well, you can't beat that. I guess that's enough. This interview is over. It can go nowhere but down from here. So Lonnie, I like to start here. I'm curious as to what made you want to get into the entertainment business, or why did you want to become an actor?
Well, I don't remember ever not wanting to be an actor. And so when I was little, I think Cinderella, the Disney Cinderella
Yep.
animated, was the first movie my grandparents took me to. And we didn't have a TV at our house. And I was completely enamored with animation and always have been ever since. And so I was kind of torn between the acting and the art part. I drew, I have a degree from the University of Minnesota in art. And I
Really?
thought perhaps I wanted to be an animator.
Yeah.
However, I was never good enough. I think I would still be drawing just the background. So better to do the voice of. But I started acting out stuff in my bedroom. I
Right.
love pretend, like little girls. You dress up, you pretend you're somebody else. And then I took it a step further. And I was only 5 years old when I started charging the neighbors a nickel to come to our garage and watch me put on shows with the other neighborhood. It also was the director,
Oh,
so
I love that.
directing. And so then I put on shows in my elementary school. I was in my first musical when I was 10. I played a
Wow.
Native American princess. By the way, I really have black hair. So it was just perfect. I had the long black braids. And so ever after, I worked in little theater all the way through high school and continued that was kind of instead of dating, I was a teenage divorced mom. So kind of
Right.
a pariah in what was going on at that time.
Sure.
Sorority girls just like rushed away from me. And so acting was my date. I'm a mom,
Yeah.
I'm divorced, I'm going to school, I'm trying to make it all happen. And so for me, acting was my social life.
Yeah, and that's so terrific. How did you early on? How did you juggle that? Because that's not, especially back then, not easy to be a
No,
single
I
mom.
had a job. I don't think anybody could do this now because college is so expensive, but
Right.
I put myself through school with a full-time job. And my mom and dad said I could live at home, but I had to pay rent. And
Yep.
so I had to pay for school and rent. Mom and dad took care of my daughter when I was in class, or I took her with me. And then I tried to study with like her on the bed. There were not enough pieces to my pie, I have to say. Nobody really got the best of me in those years.
Yeah, but that's so it's good for you. That's so amazing. So did you hold that over your daughter? Be like, yeah,
No, because
you cannot imagine what I went through.
yeah. But I said to my dad said, I kind of feel like maybe I failed you as a father because you don't want to get married again. You don't want a man like me to take care of you. And I said, no, Dad, because what you did is you made me a man like you. So I can take care of myself. There's
Attaboy,
nothing else
Dad.
to do. And I think that's the way I've always felt. The
Yeah,
way
that's actually really really terrific and kind of inspiring. I love that.
Thanks.
I love that you liked Cinderella. So my oldest, and she's grown and has a child of her own now, but she absolutely loved Cinderella. So
Yeah.
she's got. I saw your cat running by. She's got a few cats, and one of those is named Gus Gus.
Oh, Gus Gus, of course. Oh, the mouse. Oh, little Gus Gus, little chubby one. Yeah. I have a
So,
bird
so
named Gus. Yeah, I need to meet your daughter. Okay.
oh yeah, you absolutely need to. Yeah, yeah. She's her daughter Charlotte. We call her Charlie. She hasn't gotten into Cinderella yet. She's Mulan and
More modern
more
princess,
modern.
you
Yeah,
know?
she's more modern.
And girls who can do it on their own, they don't need Prince Charming.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. You
Yeah.
know, you want them to grow up and find
Really
somebody
survive, yeah,
if that's what they want, but you want them to be able to make it on their own. And that's
absolutely.
yeah, that's so terrific. I'm curious, when did you change from brunette to a blonde?
Oh my gosh, that was such an interesting process. Um, I was always kind of a serious, kind of sultry brunette.
Yeah.
Nobody, my ethnicity was always questioned. Are you Native American? Are you Black? You know, I was Miss Roseville, and having
Yeah.
watched Meghan Markle last night, I was thinking about the hate mail that I got even back
Really?
in that time in the late 60s, that you know, about my being Miss Roseville, and they thought I was Black, and how it was just an interesting thing to watch her and talk about race even after, you know, all of these years. When
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so this brunette actress who did Fiddler on the Roof 53 weeks straight on the road. I was Seidel the bride. And so musical theater was really my beginning, and the dark hair. So then I did Born Yesterday, which is a dumb blonde. And
Right.
it's a famous play by Garson Kanin. And I got a standing ovation at the beginning of the second act. And I thought, my career is made. You know?
Blonde it is.
How naive. But I realized that that nobody took me too seriously out in the real world,
Right.
aside from that part. And so then I decided, no, I'm not going to do the blonde thing, and continued to do the brunette thing. Did lots of commercials, did lots of theater, moved to Los Angeles with enough money to last for 6 months. Said to my daughter, you know, we can always go back to Minnesota, Chicago, New York, you know. And I was only here 2 weeks, and I got a part in SWAT, which was an Aaron Spelling show.
Oh, I know SWAT. That was actually the first thing I saw you in, because, and I was pretty young at the time, but I absolutely loved that show. And they had little figures at the time. I had those, and that's what I remember seeing you in.
Okay, so I was the brunette, and who was my blonde counterpart but Farrah Fawcett?
Yeah, I've forgotten that.
And so Farrah and I were these beauty queens. And I don't know, there was some kind of kidnapping going on, and I was the snotty brunette who thought she was going to win, and Farrah was the sweet blonde person who did win. And Farrah and I then did Harry O together.
Oh, right.
Girlfriend, and I was her roommate. So Farrah and I became really good friends. I do this brunette thing. And I have to tell you that the minute I turned blonde, Farrah and I never worked together again. We remained friends our whole life, but and we lived with two blondes, so we just didn't work together after that. But it started with cameramen saying to me, "Your hair is so dark, it absorbs all the light. It looks like an ink blob on your head. So do something, you know, like put some streaks in it or lighten it up or do something." So from 75, when I moved to LA, to 78, if you catch me in any reruns, I could have any color hair you could possibly. I think that looks like Loni Anderson, but she's not a blonde. It's probably me. Yeah, just lots of hair colors. So when I did WKRP, well, and I have to tell you, I have a Steve Allen story.
Oh, good. I want to hear it.
And I did The Love Boat. I wasn't, but I played Ditzy. And I'm really funny, Ditzy. It works great. But he took me aside, and the crew was cracking up, and we had to stop a take and everything else. And I thought, I was so funny. And so Steve took me aside and said, "You do that so well, you must stop." And I said, "What?" And he said, because you'll never do anything else. If you want to be an actress, you're going to get pigeonholed with that voice.
Right.
And so I never did it again. And so when I got offered the job in WKRP, I thought it was just window dressing. I didn't like it. And Hugh Wilson, who created WKRP, and Brant Tinker said, well, how would you like to do it? And they kind of caught me off guard. I hadn't prepared anything but my little soapbox speech.
Yep.
And so I did it, and everyone was speechless in the room, and I left. And this is before cell phones, kids. So I went to my car and cried because I thought MTM would never ask me back because I just blew it. And by the time I got home, my agent called and said, you got the part, and they're going to rewrite it. So Hugh Wilson said, I want you to look like Lana Turner. So that's when I really went to the professional hairdresser and said, make me a blonde. And he said, so Lana Turner, smartest person in the room. And that's how that happened.
That's actually a pretty great story. And you had, I mean, you still have beautiful hair, but it was, I mean, for the,
you know what? We in quarantine, you know, we're so nice to our hair, women, you know, we're not with the curling iron or the curlers and the blow dryers and stuff. We're just like, oh, we're in our pajamas and let's put this cream in our hair and everything. So everybody's got like this Alice in Wonderland hair all of a sudden. Because it's just been growing and growing.
Oh, I know. I wish, but this is the boy version.
Oh, okay.
We just cut it off.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Shower and go.
Yeah, I miss the 80s hair because I had hair back then, and it was curled up on the shoulders, and you know.
I was going to ask you what style. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. No, it wasn't a mullet, but it was feathered. It was feathered.
Okay.
You know, it kind of it kind of looked like some of the guys on WKRP. They had the feathered kind of hair down to the shoulders. Yeah.
Gary Sandy had mountains of hair and still does, as a matter of fact.
He had some good hair.
Great hair. Yeah.
If I remember right, back in the, I'll have to. It's just been so long since I've seen him, but mid 70s, you were doing like Policewoman and Police Story. Some of those.
Exactly. And Barnaby Jones.
Barnaby Jones.
Oh yeah, all that stuff really. Made great. Policewoman. Oh, it was so fun. Andrew Dickinson. Earl Holman. I mean, it was so fun to work with all of those fabulous actors.
Yeah. They were so good. If I, you tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't you play the same character on the Love Boat as you did on Fantasy Island?
Well, how do you know that? That's one of those trivia things because Aaron Spelling said, I want to have Loni night. Remember, it was Saturday night. It was a big TV night.
Big TV night.
But so he had Love Boat and Fantasy Island. And he said, I want to, and this is the only time it was ever done in the history of that show.
Really?
He said, I want to have a character that ends up unhappy on the Love Boat and goes to Fantasy Island. Oh my goodness. So he said, but I'm going to film an alternate ending for the Love Boat. So when it goes into syndication, you'll have a happy ending. And it can be on its own. But in the whole 3-hour Loni version on Saturday night from Fantasy Island, and Love Boat to Fantasy Island, I was unhappy. And the captain, said as I left the boat, I hope she finds happiness on Fantasy Island. So, and I did. With Christopher George was the actor that I found happiness with. So that's a wonderful thing that you know that. That's
Well, was that like, did they use that as like, was that a big sweeps?
It was a sweep fund.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Yes, it's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I thought I remembered that because my parents would watch those shows back then. You were limited. You only had a couple of channels, and when that's
three channels, CBS, 3 hours of primetime programming.
That's right.
That's it on each network. You had 3 hours.
Exactly right.
So you had huge ratings, and no wonder that generation of actors are all like part of your family and household names, is because there wasn't anything else to watch. Today, you could have your best friend in the world could have been on a show that was a hit for 10 years. And unless they tell you, you don't even know where to find it. So it's a whole different landscape, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's good and bad because there's so much quality things to watch, but it's too much. It's too
You
much.
couldn't even fit it in.
No.
I've listened to reviewers say I couldn't possibly review everything that's on. You know?
There's no way. There's not enough time.
No.
But yeah, so I remember that because I remember, my parents would watch those shows and they were good. I was fairly young then, but not too young. But they were good, but they weren't so adult that kids couldn't watch them.
They were family fare.
They were family fare.
It was usually the 10 to 11 o'clock, that last hour that they considered the more adult hour.
That's
and
right.
WKRP came on at 9:30 when we started because they thought we weren't an 8 o'clock show because we were a little risque, and so they put us on a little later.
Isn't that funny that you were considered a little risque? I mean, if you compare it to now.
No, I know it was nothing. And we get memos, another memo, and they were worried about that in the cold studio, that my nipples would show through the clothing. And so we did a memo would come down about who do something about that. And yet Howard Hessman was growing a marijuana plant in his apartment. They never tumbled to that. The entire time we were on the air was behind a screen.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah.
That's the behind the scenes stuff that you
behind the scenes stuff. Yeah.
So WKRP in Cincinnati, one of my favorite shows of all time. Absolutely love it. And once I kind of let people know that you were coming on, everybody my age and a little bit older loved you on WKRP.
Oh, I'm so
yeah, they're big fans, and so I've been getting a lot of questions. Make sure you ask her this. Make sure you ask her this. So the one that I seem to get the most is, do you have a favorite episode of WKRP?
Well, I have a couple for different reasons.
Okay.
I cannot walk through an airport that someone doesn't yell to me, "As God is my witness, God should fly." So we know that everybody loves the turkeys episode.
Everybody.
Yeah. But I have a couple of personal favorites.
Yeah.
I loved A Date with Jennifer. Richard Sanders, who played Les Nessman, asked Jennifer on a date. And Richard was just particularly marvelous in that episode. And there was another episode that was kind of controversial called Les on a Ledge, where Les was gay and he was going to jump off the building. And then I was Dr. Johnny Fever, was trying to convince Herb Tarlick that I had once been a man. And that had gone through sex change. And some of the longest laughs we ever had on the show were the takes that Frank did to me before he said his line. We never could get to the line because the audience wouldn't stop laughing, and it was fabulous. And then Frank Bonner, Herb Tarlick, and I did a scene in a show called Put Up or Shut Up. And it was where he asked me out on a date, and Bailey told me to say yes because he'd be really too scared to go through with it, and I'd finally get him off my back. And so I listened to her. And however, he came to my apartment to take me on a date. He was trying to be cool, but of course he was Herb and he wasn't cool, and he was hyperventilating into a paper bag. And we just had this, Frank was brilliant. He was like poignant and funny and talented and amazing. And it was a whole scene just between the two of us that you rarely get in a half-hour comedy.
Right.
I have to say that when that show aired, Frank and I got fan letters from Steve Allen and Jack Lemmon.
Oh, wow.
Wow, thrilling.
Yeah, so, you can't beat that.
Yeah, I can't beat that. And I always loved doing the cold opening with Howard Hessman. I loved him drinking liquor from my shoe, one of my favorite moments. So I have some favorites.
Yeah, and they're all so good. The episode on the ledge, I mean, that was kind of before its time. That type of subject matter.
We tackled some stuff on the Who concert. We
Right.
because it happened in Cincinnati. So there were some serious moments on WKRP. We got the Humanitas Award several years in a row. He would always, they'd say, write some slapstick stuff. And then Hugh, who is our creator, would write exactly the opposite, because he just didn't like to hear from the suits.
Right. Well, good for him. No, I remember the Who episode because it was such a funny show, but it would dive into some tough topics, and it would get you like you wouldn't be expecting it, and it would suddenly turn into kind of a sad moment or a bittersweet moment, and I think that's part of the reason that show is so loved.
And it didn't get old. I mean,
no,
it did, because the jokes came out of the show, not out of a joke. I mean, so the humor was just part of the story. And I think that's when things don't get dated.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because it wasn't, some shows are too obvious. The jokes are just kind of they smack you right in the face, and I never thought that with WKRP. It was, it was just a group of people that they were just getting along. And just kind of interacting as the day went on, then the jokes just kind of happened.
Yeah, that's the best kind of humor, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. So another question I had was, what was going on with Les and the Band-Aids?
Oh, this is a great story. During the pilot, one of the big lights above us fell down and hit Richard on the forehead. And he had to wear a big Band-Aid. And so Richard, an unusual man, Richard Sanders, I mean, in real life, an unusual man.
Yes.
From then on, he would just show up. He wore a Band-Aid in every single episode, somewhere on his body. And that was just a Richard thing that, he did that. And so he had Les Nessman fan clubs. People would send pictures of themselves like with bandages all over him, like a mummy. And he just had this huge following of people in Band-Aids.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I love that. I wanted to ask you because I remember people dressing up as him for Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He, with his bow tie and his little glasses.
Yeah, because he was just, everybody knew that character.
That was Les Nessman. Yeah.
I was going to ask you that it was the show had such a good cast. I mean, it just seemed like they just nailed every person on that show. And I wondered if some of those, were they similar to their characters off camera?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
Howard Hessman is one of the most erudite, sophisticated, fashion conscious, really, we see each other a lot. We're like a family. I think there's something about that we all started together. Nobody was a big star first. And we were just 8 people. And the show was about 8 people. And our creator, Hugh, never let it get one-sided or the other. He just said, I wrote a show about 8 people. It's going to be about 8 people. And so that made us a family. And as a matter of fact, I talked to Frank, I talked to Tim, I talked to Howard, I talked to Gary, all within the last week.
Oh, wow.
I know. We're
as a fan, that's the type of stuff we love to hear.
I know, because we're family. We just are. Yeah.
That's what I need. Our next episode, we need to do a reunion. We'll bring them all on.
I know. That would be so fun. And the fact that we don't have the big guy anymore is heartbreaking. And now we don't have our creator either. Hugh Wilson died 2 years ago. And he said, if we do a reunion show, he said, I think Jennifer would be the big guy.
Oh, I'd love that. There you go. You could do that show right now.
I know. That's what he said. He said that's what would have happened. She'd be running the whole show.
Well, she was running it anyway.
It's true.
We got to have Daphne Reed came on the show, and she was terrific, and she talked some about, she got to
I was at their
guest
wedding.
star. Yeah. And she said that everybody on that show was just amazing. just amazing. And she spoke so highly of you.
Wonderful. Oh, and I love her. And she was in a show called Real Families with Peter
Yeah.
Martin. And I talked to Peter recently, who said that people were angry with him. They thought he was really like the host of like this Real People. Remember Real People was the show?
Oh, yeah.
We had the Real Families take off. And they didn't like him for being not nice to Herb and Lucille Tarlick.
Wasn't Real People, I may be wrong, but wasn't Real People on the same night that That's Incredible was on?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It seems like those were on the same evening. It was a good show. Yeah. If I remember right, I know I'm right. You were on like every Bob Hope special that was made in the 70s.
I did 10. And we did a lot of shows together, and we went all over the place. We were in Hawaii, we were in Bermuda. I didn't go overseas with him on any of the USO tour, but I did all of his Christmas specials. And he was just one of my favorite people in the world. He was, he was so spectacular. When we were in Bermuda, we were doing a show and the live audience was there. And we had pre-recorded a song together. It's a Lovely Day Today. And we sang this little duet.
Yep.
And Bob had sung it so many times that he always kept coming in on my part. So he could sing, but my voice was coming out of the sound, right? And so finally we got the giggles so badly that we had to like stop filming. Everybody settle down. Here's the audience, everything else. Well, Bob has these cue cards practically with one word on every cue card because, he couldn't see. And so he had his special cue card guy. And so I thought, I'd think to myself, I wonder how with it he is. And then we're down for 5 minutes and there's a live audience.
Yeah.
Nothing. He did stand-up that was so brilliant. He never lost a beat. He was hysterical. He could just pull it out of the hat. And I think those kind of comedians who just started in that kind of stand-up or maybe vaudeville or even, and after that, any stand, you can just always do it. It's always there. You can return to your act.
Yeah, we don't really, that's kind of a dying breed. We don't really have that anymore.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
It makes me sad.
It makes me sad now that you said it. Yeah, I miss that. So what was the, I was trying to think, you were on a show called Nurses, which was a spinoff from what?
Well, Nurses, let's see.
I was trying to think because it seemed like there was a pediatrician and he was on both shows.
I know, but I think it was Empty Nest.
Empty Nest, that was it.
Spinoff from Golden Girls.
Oh, right.
Remember, they were the neighbors on Golden Girls.
That's right.
Mulligan, and then they had Empty Nest, and then when I was on Nurses, I went back and forth between Empty Nest and Nurses.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how that happened because I was like, well, were they on? I was thinking that they weren't on at the same time, but they were.
They were. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty great. You've been on so many just things. Like when I was growing up, I was like, God, that was the best. I just love that.
Well, I did like 7 series and hundreds of appearances and 20 TV movies and feature films and game shows. And I just watched some old rerun of a game show of myself the other night, made me hysterical. I didn't even remember I'd been on it, And
what was the game show?
It was Match Game.
Oh, Match Game. Yeah.
I was a child.
You played, which I just, like if you said this today, I think people would be going, really? But at the time, you were so good at it. You played Jayne Mansfield.
Yes.
Opposite of like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
And you were so good in that movie.
Thank you. when I accepted that role, I said, I can't do it without a real Mickey. And I think it's
Yeah.
the only person is Arnold. And they said, you can't understand a word he says, so we can't have him, And I
Well, that
said,
was pretty early in his career.
perfect. Yes. And it
Yeah.
was true. We did some scenes together and he'd finish his dialogue and I'd go, what? And so, but he was so game, he wanted to be
Yeah.
good. He was wonderful in it. He just was fantastic.
Well, if there was anybody that ever leaned into his accent, it was Arnold.
Oh, he
I
was
mean,
adorable.
I mean, his accent, everybody knows it.
And did you know that we did a Diet 7-Up commercial together?
No, I mean, I'm sure I've seen it,
I don't know.
but I
In
know.
Jayne Mansfield, he lifted me, and we had to rehearse that. We practiced for 3 weeks, and he lifted me with one hand.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh. Well, now
I
that I believe.
my tummy, so I had to be really in shape. He had to be in shape, and we had to trust each other. And we worked on that for 3 weeks before we shot that. And then he also lifted me in the Diet 7-Up commercial.
Oh, that's terrific. I got to look that up. I mean, he was Mr. Universe, so
Yes.
I have no doubt that he could do it. That's pretty amazing. And let's see so talk to me a little bit about some of the shows that you've done more recently.
Oh, more
There's been
recently.
a few.
Well,
Yeah, there's been a few.
A show with, I'm sure, somebody that you're crazy about, Zachary Quinto.
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course, before he was Spock, we did a series with Tori Spelling called So Notorious.
Yeah, and that was such a fun series. You played her mom in that.
And I played Kiki Spelling.
Kiki Spelling. Yep.
I could take off of her mom. Yeah. And loved doing that. And I did the mullets. Speaking of the mullet.
Oh yeah.
John O'Hurley, and I had the sons with the mullets. We were called the mullets.
Yeah, I had a buddy sent me a note, and he said, "Make sure you bring up the mullets." I was like, "Okay."
There it is. Mandy Mullet. Yes, I was
Mullet.
a motorcycle riding, tattooed mother. And if it's different, I want to do it.
I was going to say, how did that one come up? Because I mean, how does that look when you're pitching? It's like it's a family with mullets.
The family with
Stay
mullets.
with me.
I called the mullets. Yeah. And so that was really fun. Just recently, I did a little web series with 2 of Charles Nelson Riley's students. Wrote a little web series, and we all love Charles. And they sent me the script, and it was so cute. And it's called "My Sister Is So Gay." And I'm the mother of these 2 gay children, and I'm a perpetually tipsy, promiscuous, outrageous woman. Now I have to tell you, I have never been perpetually tipsy or promiscuous. But see, then it's called
acting. Yeah, I actually saw some clips from that, and you haven't lost a thing. You were amazing.
I did a fabulous pilot with Bridget Everett. Do you know who Bridget Everett is?
I do.
An incredible New York entertainer, and she's so talented. And I think she has a new series for HBO being developed. And we had a wonderful, wonderful time. So you never stop. Doesn't matter how old you get, because acting, show business, you never retire from show business.
Right.
You know that.
Well, yeah, they just keep pulling you back in.
I know, and then Stan Lee. I'm sure that.
Of course, I know Stan. I've been lucky enough to get to meet Stan several times.
Well, Stan and I actually I don't know, within the last 10 years, we're talking about doing a comic book type series, or even a comic book. But I wanted to play the part of the grandma character who's a superhero. So
I love it.
Her little glasses and her shawl and everything, and she has a little walker and everything else, but she's a superhero, and her walker turns into like a jetpack. I said, come on, it's time for the baby boomers to have a superhero.
Did you have a name for her yet?
No.
Okay.
But
I was curious what her superhero name would be.
It was kind of coming to life, and I still think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I know you could do that. We got to make that happen. I know Stan's not around anymore, but we got now once people hear this, somebody's
I know.
going to grab hold of this.
I
We
know,
got to make
somebody
it.
will. Yep, it's a great idea. I have to tell you a funny story because you're a comic book guy.
Yeah, please.
But my dad, who was in World War II, and before I was born, of course, I'm the first of the baby boomers.
Yeah.
And he was in the Pacific Theater, and he was a Navy airman. And he had collected from day one the first Superman comic book.
Oh
He had
man.
a collection. And my mother, while he was gone,
I don't
cleaned
want to
them
hear it.
and threw them away. And so when he came home, he was just like, "Are you devastated?" He never stopped talking about that until the day he died,
Oh
about
my
how mom had thrown away his comic book collection. While
You
he was
know,
fighting.
I owned a comic book store. That's how I put myself through college, and I heard those type of stories just all, and they're just heartbreaking.
Just heartbreaking,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but
You
you
know,
know, if
my
they did,
favorite superhero, okay,
yeah.
Mighty Mouse.
Oh, I love Mighty Mouse. Here's
Love
the same
Mighty
thing.
Mouse. Oh my gosh, I'm crazy about Mighty Mouse. Anything else weird you'd like to know about me?
You know, everything's been remade. It's time they remake Mighty Mouse, and then you could have a role. You said you wanted to do some animation.
Yeah, absolutely. I could do the voice of some character in Mighty Mouse.
Absolutely. Maybe you could be the bad guy that fights.
I'm ready. Mhm.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I know that you played or voiced Blondie in a couple of
Blondie,
specials.
Dagwood and Blondie for
Yeah.
CBS. I was the voice of Blondie. I was the voice of Flo in All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah, I forgot that one.
Just
Good
recently
movie.
saw Don Bluth that he had a 30th anniversary of All Dogs Go to Heaven. And
Has it been 30 years?
30 years, I know.
Wow.
I know. And I hosted a funny special, a Sunday funny special that was just fantastic back in the, what was it, 1980, I believe. And had all those wonderful animators on the show with me. It was wonderful.
Oh, how fun. I wonder if I watched that one. I would have been.
It's called
11.
The Fantastic Funnies, and you can get it on YouTube.
Oh, I'll find it. Because that sounds like it'd be right up my alley.
Fantastic Funnies. It's really fun. I love it.
Yeah. So I got a couple more, and then I'll let you go because I don't want to keep you too long. I'm so happy you're on the show. So I'll behave. I did good though because
you're doing great. Are you kidding? You're fun. You're fun.
Oh, thank you. I'm notorious for doing an interview before the interview, so I did pretty well today. I kept it to a minimum. Now, I wanted to ask you, you were talking about superheroes, and you got to do a show with Linda Carter.
Yes.
Yeah, which is, at that time, you and Linda Carter were about as big as it got.
Wonder Woman, and we did a show called Partners in Crime.
Yeah.
And we were detectives.
Yep.
And we were so beautifully dressed in the highest shoes and the shortest little skirts. And we ran up and down the streets of San Francisco, because that's where it took place, with it said freeze. But our legs looked fantastic because we were running up and down those streets. Oh my gosh, in those high heels. And we did stunts. We had stunt women. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And I always loved handling a weapon. Of course, in many TV movies, I killed a wayward husband.
They brought that on themselves.
And they would take me to the shooting range. I'd have an officer take me and teach me how to use the weapon. And Lynn and I had that also. And then I played in like a cartoon show with Hulk Hogan. It was a movie called Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain. I played the
I remember Three Ninjas.
Mega. It was just so cute. And I was Medusa. And I had to handle an AK-47. Now, I had a dummy AK-47 that I shot off in this warehouse and stuff like that. But they wanted me to have, to show the grip and make sure that I looked like I knew how to handle it. So they got an AK-47, and then the targets were like these way far away and stuff, and I have to tell you, it's pretty powerful and kind of addicting. So in my life, I really, I'm a good shot, and I do enjoy target shooting. I don't want to kill anything, but I love target shooting.
Well, I could totally see it. I've never shot a gun. If
It's
you can
quite a
believe that. I'm in West Virginia. I'm right in the middle of, hunting country.
yeah.
I've never, maybe a BB gun. I may have shot a BB gun, but never an actual gun. I don't know
Well,
why. Never came up.
it never came up.
I was probably watching a cartoon or something.
That's it. You weren't hunting Bugs Bunny. You were watching.
No, I was watching it. But that's really great. That's really great. So over the years, have you done some of your own stunts?
Yes, I have. Yes,
Yeah.
I have. And but I did have the most wonderful stunt woman who she became a lawyer, and then
Really?
I didn't have her anymore. But yeah, I like doing my own stunts, and I was married to Burt Reynolds, who taught me how to throw a punch. So I wouldn't
really?
like throw it. And really helped me with riding too. We had horses, and so he did a lot of his own stunts, and he's always said I was a closet jock.
Well, in the movie you guys did together was Stroke Race, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw that at the theater. I remember going to that.
Chicken suit.
The chicken suit.
I was the oldest living virgin.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a fun movie.
It was fun. Jim Neighbors, absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Ned Beatty.
Ned Beatty, that's right. I love Ned Beatty. Yeah, he's such a great actor. Well, and I was happy to read. I read not too long ago that you and Mr. Reynolds had kind of made up a little bit at the end.
We were friends a long time. We were together for 12 years. We have this wonderful son. Sometimes you just have to get over it, and move on and go back to being friends. And we certainly were at the end of his life. And so it was good for my son to be able to see that, because he was only 4 when we split up. So seeing us together, he would just shake his head and say, "You guys are really funny." And he said, "Well, we had a lot of experiences and a lot of years together."
Well, that's right. There's a reason you were together.
Yeah.
Something. But isn't it interesting that, when you have children who always are the ones that kind of suffer through the divorces
Right.
But that's also, it's that tie that you can never get away from. So that's always great when you can kind of.
Yeah, it is. It's good to bring that full circle for your kids.
Yeah. That's really really great. Yeah, your son's he's not too much older.
He's 32 years old.
32. Yeah, my oldest is 26.
26.
So,
okay. I have a first responder. Quentin was a cameraman.
Oh, really?
And, he said about 5 years ago, "Mom, do you mind if I go back to school? I really want to save lives. It's like my
good for him."
And so, and now he just joined the Sheriff's Search and Rescue Department. He's my daredevil guy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And what a time to be a first responder.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Good for him. That's terrific. Well, Loni, this has been wonderful. Absolutely terrific. I do have a couple more real quick. Okay. When you were in high school, did you play any sports? Were you in the band? Anything like that?
I was in the choir.
Oh, in the choir.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was in the art club.
Yeah.
And I was a runner.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ran really fast, but not
a sprinter.
It was like when I was like the GAA, the Girls Athletic Association, you go to your class, and my teacher would always say to me, "You need to cut those nails off if we're going to play basketball." And I would say, no, because I have modeling jobs this weekend and I have to have these nails and stuff. So I guess I was always.
That's why you ran.
That's why I ran. I could run. I want to say one thing to you. Have you heard of Cameo?
Of course. Yeah, I love Cameo.
So I come from an era of fan mail, where I got letters. And that's how my fans connected with me, and I loved hearing from them. And that era is just gone.
Yeah, right.
And then there was social media, and I didn't know if I wanted everybody like that much in my life. And so
that's a lot.
Because that's like, I'm kind of an old-fashioned celebrity, but Cameo is so cool because you can do a greeting. You hear from somebody. They tell you what they want. They have a little something that they remember. And then you're absolutely able to do this video for them and connect with them. And there's a little, texting going back and forth. And I just love it. It's like, I'm just new, you guys. So please join me on Cameo, because I would love to talk to you or wish somebody happy birthday or happy anniversary or whatever. But I like my fans. So I really enjoy hearing from them.
I love that. Cameo is, I don't know who came up with it, but that is
so
the
fun.
best idea.
Yeah.
The best idea. So, okay. So I'll give you a little scenario, and you can give our listeners a taste of what it's like. So I got a good friend, Joe, that's a huge WKRP fan. So if you were going to say something to Joe, what would that be like?
Oh, well, it would depend. Like if you said to me, Joe loved turkeys away, then I would.
Well, he does.
Yeah,
he does.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. And I would tell you that that was a real story from an advertising group in Atlanta.
No,
and
it wasn't.
Somebody really did drop turkeys out of a helicopter. And I know, thinking that turkeys could fly. So that was real. And so in our show we had, because our writer had been in advertising, and I know. And I love Mr. Coffee Covered in Feathers.
We watch that, and I've made the kids watch that every year at Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh. And do they know anything about the Hindenburg? Because of course Les Nessman announces the turkeys coming out like the Hindenburg test. And so it's very clever. It's incredible.
Oh my gosh, it's such a good show. Well, Loni, thank you so much. And
thank you. This has been so fun.
Yeah, I'm so appreciative of this, and you have to come back. There's so much more.
Okay.
You have to do it. But before you go, so we talked about Cameo. Is there any other social media that we can find you on?
Well, right now it's Cameo.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's a good one. If you got to pick one, that's a good one.
So I think it's a good one to be involved in.
Yeah.
Because
I love it.
They can see me, and then you can send a video for your request too. It doesn't have to just be typed out. So
that's nice. Yeah, my son, he loves to do that for his mother. So he will find people that she likes, and then for her birthday or an anniversary or whatever, he'll.
It's just I've done like pep talks for people, or somebody gets injured, they just need a little something, a little tender word, and I had a young 29-year-old guy who was just like a big fan of Frank Bonner, who played Herb Tarlick on WKRP. Yeah. He just wanted to hear stories about Frank. So, whatever your heart's desire.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Last thing is there anything that you have upcoming that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Oh, gosh. Here's what. I got my vaccination. So
hey, good for you.
Yes, I know. I'm looking forward to show business coming back because show business has been closed.
Yeah, we miss it.
Yep. And so we hope that there will be things coming up that we can do. It's coming back slowly. But,
it is.
Theater and concerts probably the last things to come back because it's been closed and people are yelling and singing and whatever. But soon.
We're ready. We're waiting on it. I've got my day job's in a hospital, so I've had my vaccines too, and
good.
I'm ready for everybody to get them so we can all get around each other again.
Yes, everybody get a vaccine.
It'll be fun times. Okay. So Loni, let's end this way. Can you give me a goodbye or a line from Jennifer WKRP?
Oh, a line from Jennifer.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer said most of the time, Michael, perfect. It was about herself. She usually said perfect about herself. But so perfect was mine.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. What a way to end.
Jennifer, perfect.
Perfect. All right, Loni, hold on 1 second. I'm going to hit pause. Well, how great was that? the absolutely fabulous Loni Anderson. She looks exactly the same. That's amazing. That's amazing. What a beautiful and talented woman. That one was a bucket list for me. I held it in check pretty good. I'm pretty good. Such a fan of hers. That was so much fun, and she was so kind and willing to kind of talk and jump around a little bit. That was terrific. Please do check her out on Cameo. It'll be just like this conversation was. I mean, she's so friendly, just so gracious with her fans. So that's definitely something that you'll want to check out. Wonderful. Just terrific. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again this week. I never take that for granted. I'm so appreciative that you keep coming back. I hope we're giving you good material, good interviews, things that you'll enjoy. If you haven't done so already, please go to YouTube and subscribe. We're on MeisterCon Pod. We would appreciate that. You can check us out on our website, meistercon.com. Has all 200 plus episodes of Too Opinionated, both audio and video. So check that out. It also has an absolutely terrific blog from Brett. He's such a talented writer. So definitely do yourself a favor. Check that out. You can find us on Facebook. Join the 65,000 or so fans that we have on there. It's under MeisterCon. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.